What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 44 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. Should be a great card for a fight night. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to that main event of the evening. I think we're going to get some good stuff in the co-main event of the evening as well. Brad Riddell taking on Rafael Fiziev. Going to be a great one. Clay Guida taking on Leonardo Santos. Jimmy Crute taking on Jamal Hill. Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis on short notice. That should be also a great card. Solid main card for a fight night. So we're looking forward to it. Hoping to bounce back because, you know, last week kind of got smoked. Ketlin Vieira was able to take on Miesha Tate, defeat her. It was an unfortunate fight, man. I felt like Tate had moments where she could have done a little bit more, and then even Vieira, man. I mean, she kind of dragged that fight on. I think if she would have let go in that fight, she would have been able to put Tate away at least on the feet. So we'll have to see what we get in this card. Should be a lot better. Hopefully to be a lot better. Year's about to be over, so that's pretty crazy. But either way, looking forward to this card. So let's go ahead, jump into the main card. And in the first fight on the main card, we have Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis in the middleweight division. And I believe Chris Curtis, the action man Curtis, all in Brendan Allen. Chris Curtis coming to take this fight on short notice. But either way, he's coming off a very good win against Phil Hawes via round 1 KO TKO. In a fight where I think he went to the body and then he kind of finished him on top with a shot to the dome. But I believe he hit him to the body, kind of threw him off, Phil Hawes. But either way, Phil Hawes, one of those guys carrying around a lot of muscle. He was doing fairly decent in that fight, I would say. Curtis really wasn't landing anything. He was kind of just, covering up, taking some shots, and then I guess his plan was to just unload towards the end of the round, see what he could get there, and it was able to work out. Chris Curtis, very good KO power. But that being said, I think he can get hit. You see in that fight, he definitely takes some damage, and it's not to say that Phil Hawes is bad in any, but Phil Hawes is more of like he's gonna try to land some big strikes here and there. He's not really mixing up too well, and Curtis was able to just take it and then give it back to him. But he did eat some shots. For Brendan, all in Allen, 17-4. Oh, and by the way, Chris Curtis, 20-5, so has a good amount of fights on his record. It's not like he just, came out of nowhere. For Brendan Allen, coming to this fight, pretty good, solid technical fighter, at least on the feet. I think he's one of these guys who can mix it up. He has a really good popping jab, and then he is able to land some pretty nasty body kicks, some good leg kicks. Probably going to be the more technical fighter here, and is going to have the higher volume, at least as far as being technical about it, right? He's not going to necessarily be swinging for the fences or anything like that. In his last fight, Brendan Allen, he's coming off a win over Punahele Soriano by decision. He was eating some shots in that fight, man. Like, he definitely ate some shots in that fight. He got his head snapped back a couple times, taking some big hooks. But he has a pretty solid chin, and I think in that fight, the body kicks were really hurting Soriano in that fight. He was landing some really nasty body kicks and pretty solid chin. He's a patient fighter, he's not necessarily going to be in there brawling like a crazy man or anything like that, loading up on one specific shot. He'll teep to the body, he'll land body kicks, leg kicks, and I kind of look for that, for him to do that here, kind of just have a better output, not necessarily just brawling with Curtis or... It does scare me, though, because I think Allen can be hit, but at the same time, Curtis, you can't be taking all those body shots. And if Allen's able to mix this up a little bit better, I think Curtis might not necessarily have that same thing where Allen's gassed out or something, and then he kind of just lands a big shot and then puts him away. I mean, it could happen, but I think Allen mixing it up a little bit more, being the bigger guy in this fight, fighting a lot better guys as well, having more experience than Phil Hawes, I think it's going to be a good look for him. So Chris Curtis, he's got to watch out for that KO power. He's got to be careful and mindful that he doesn't, which I don't think he will, but like gas himself out and go for the kill shot too many times. But I think he mixes it to the body. And those leg kicks, man, that shit's going to add up. So I like Brendan Allen in this one, and body shots to the body, mixing up with a jab, keeping that distance, and just having a better overall striking game than someone like Phil Hawes. So I'm going to go Brendan Allen to defeat Chris Curtis. I'll take it a win by decision. Move on into the second fight on the main card. And in this fight, we have Jimmy Crute taking on Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. And at first, I think this fight is a little bit odd just because Jimmy Crute's coming off a very weird injury. I would say a weird injury, but it's not something you see all the time, right? He took a couple leg kicks, literally, I think 2 leg kicks from in his last fight against Anthony Smith, and it kind of just deaded his leg, cut the nerve off, so his leg was flopping around everywhere, and they called off the fight. But in the beginning of that fight, at least, he was getting pieced up before that. He was definitely taking some jabs to the dome. He was getting kind of pieced up. He was able to take Anthony Smith down, but he really wasn't able to do anything with it. Smith got back up and landed 2 leg kicks and kind of finished the fight. But either way, I think he was getting pieced up in that fight. Crute doesn't necessarily have the best striking in the world. I would say he can definitely knock people out. We've seen that before. He has a really good power, but he'll dive in for those takedowns. And he is dangerous on the floor. He'll land some ground and pound. He'll go for a submission. We've seen him get both of those. Good leg kicks on the feet, and he has power. He can close that distance fairly decently, but I wouldn't say he's one of these guys who should be out there swinging and brawling or anything like that. I think if he's out here swinging and brawling with someone like Jamal Hill, he probably gets KO'd. But that being said, I think Crute, man, he's very powerful. You got to watch out for him. If he gets a takedown, I'm a little concerned for Hill. Can Hill, work around it? Will he get submitted? Will he be able to get back up if he gets tagged on the floor? Hill's very dangerous on the feet. I think he's one of these guys where his striking isn't necessarily the best on the feet, but it is aggressive. He will brawl with you. He'll just start winging shots out there. But the one thing is, whether or not he is able to defend the takedowns. And if he gets taken down, what's going to start happening there? Will he get submitted? Will he be able to get out of it? So in this fight, he obviously needs to defend the takedown, be an aggressive striker, see if he can land something on Jimmy Crute early, see if he can turn it into a wild brawl. But at the same time, I think Crute's going to look for those takedowns. I don't think he's going to have anything necessarily to deal with the brawling, big power game of Jamal Hill. And for Hill, like I said, if he's able to defend the takedowns, keep this standing, he might have a chance in this one. But I like Jimmy Crute to come back from that one and see what he can do here. But I would look for it to be a heavily grappling game. I think he's definitely going to come out here and push him against the fence, try to take him down, and then not necessarily just sit on him on the floor. I think Crute's going to go for a submission here. So I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute here. I think he's going to be able to get that takedown. It might be a little bit sketchy on the feet, but I think he gets a takedown and is able to either finish him via ground and pound or submit him. So I'm going to go Jimmy Crute to defeat Jamal Hill by submission in round number 2. And then move on into the third fight on the main card. We have Clay the Carpenter Guida taking on Leonardo Santos. 36-18 for Clay Guida, 18-5-1 for Santos. Both of these fighters are coming off of losses. Obviously, Clay Guida being the veteran in the game, well over 40 fights, well over 50 fights. And then Leonardo Santos coming with 18-5 records, so no slouch as well. But, we all know Clay Guida. For Clay Guida, he's one of these guys who's running around the cage. He does a lot of antics, so I would say. He can do push-ups after he gets knocked out or after he gets submitted or something like that or loses a decision. He's running around doing push-ups like he has cardio for days, and he really does have cardio. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a fight. Whether or not you're just not doing anything or your takedowns aren't working or that's all you're kind of trying to land, right, is just diving in for takedowns. He does have a good pace, though, right? But he has some pretty winging hooks. Not the most technical striking in the world. It's not like he's mixing things up to the bottom. He definitely tries to go in for those takedowns, but at the same time, if he gets into a position where he can be subbed, he'll definitely be able to be subbed. And against a guy like Leonardo Santos, who I can see going in for, if he's getting taken down, I can see him going for that guillotine or reversing the position on the floor into an advantageous position for himself. And if he ends up in a position where he can lock in some sort of choke, like a Darce choke or a guillotine or an armbar he's going to look for it. And, I'm a little concerned if Guida gets in those positions. Is he going to tap fairly quickly? I think he will. Now, that being said, though, if Guida's able to kind of just keep him on the floor and grind him out, maybe he wins like a split decision because Santos is able to do a little bit better on the feet. But regardless, I think Santos is able to not have that happen, right? I don't think he's going to be just getting taken down constantly and not being able to do anything on the feet. I actually think Santos can do something on the feet, right? He can definitely hurt Clay Guida on the feet, and I would say he probably can mix it up a little bit better with the leg kicks and stuff. But the biggest thing would be a defensive submission from Santos if he feels the need to do that, if he's getting taken down. And that just kind of sketches me out to go with Clay Guida. Maybe Clay Guida wins a submission here. I mean, not a submission, a decision, like a split decision, if he's able to kind of just land enough takedowns and he's not really doing anything. But, neither is Santos, and it is what it is. But I like Leonardo Santos on this one. and I think it's gonna be because of a defensive submission. So I'm gonna go Leonardo Santos to defeat Clay Guida. I'll take him to win by a submission. I'll go submission round number 3, maybe. Yeah, I'll go submission round number 3 because why not? For Clay Guida. I mean, for Leonardo Santos to defeat Clay Guida by submission in round number 3. And move on into the co-main event of the evening. We have Brad the Quake Riddell taking on Rafael Adaman Fiziev. 10-1 for Riddell, 10-1 for Fiziev. So obviously they want someone to lose in this fight. Both guys coming off of a win. 10-1 record for both of these guys as well, so that's pretty interesting. Brad Riddell, I would say probably is going to have the more heavy grappling game in this one. He's probably not going to be the guy trying to brawl with Fiziev. So Fiziev is going to try to get in his face. He's going to go to the body with the leg kicks. He's going to do all that bouncing around movement with his head movement, do a little bit extra, put on a show, right, for the fans. But he's definitely going to stay in the fight. He's going to stay right there in his face. And so I think this comes down to whether or not Riddell can get the takedowns and do anything with it. Or, maybe he is getting some takedowns, but Fiziev is able to get it back up, and then next thing you know, Riddell looks a little bit gassed out. Riddell can definitely crack, though. Both guys can crack. It might be one of these fights where it might be a little bit tentative at first, but then, they're both trying to... But I don't really think so, because Fiziev, he's going to go for it, man. Like, he's going to get in his face. He's going to start landing everything he's going to go for it. He's just going to land a lot of stuff, a lot of volume. He's going to try to get in his face. So Riddell's going to have to watch out for that. He's going to probably have to slow this one down by getting into the clinch, putting him against the fence, looking for a takedown, see what he can do with that. But at the same time, a little bit sketched out, because even if Riddell's able to do that early on, is that going to be able to keep up that pace for 3 rounds? It can be one of those situations where Riddell is able to get a lot of takedowns. Maybe not a lot, but, just be in the more controlling positions against the fence or whatnot. And then Fiziev, he's getting controlled a little bit here and there. But then Riddell starts to slow down because maybe he's not really doing anything, but he's controlling the fight against the fence. And then Riddell's starting to slow down because he's not able to get too many takedowns. And then you see Fiziev kind of just take over this fight and start getting crazy with it, start lighting him up. I kind of saw that in his last fight, Riddell, against Drew Dober. He was slowing down a little bit in that last fight, and I just feel like against someone like Fiziev, Fiziev's going to keep that pace up. He's going to get in your face, and you give him a chance to hit you and swing one of these big shots, one of these brawly shots. It's going to be kind of sketchy, right? He's going to test the chin of him. He's going to get in his face. So it's going to be a great fight, though. I think it might be a little tentative at first, might be trying to figure out, but at the same time, I feel like Fiziev, he's got to be careful, though, because I know he likes to get crazy with it, but Riddell can crack. Both guys can crack. If Fiziev gets a little too crazy, Riddell can definitely crack him in this one. So we'll have to see what Fiziev does. But he does have a granite chin, man. He's fought some pretty decent guys. Bobby Green in his last fight. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad fight. And Riddell, he took on Drew Dober, won that fight by decision. But I do think out of both guys, I think when shit gets crazy, I think Fiziev's going to be the one standing. And, whether or not that leads to a finish or not, we'll have to see. But I'm just going to go with Rafael Fiziev to defeat Brad Riddell. Taking a win by a decision. And then move on into the main event of the evening. We have the number 4th ranked bantamweight Rob Font taking on the number 5th ranked bantamweight Jose Aldo. 19-4 for Rob Font, 30-7 for Jose Aldo. Obviously, veteran in the game. At this point, both these guys, but I would say the legend in the game, Jose Aldo. Obviously, been through it all. Was in the featherweight division, king of the featherweight division. Went back down to bantamweight. He's fought top level competition all over the place. He's definitely looks really good now too for being at this age and being at this point in his career. Jose Aldo coming in 30-7, a win over Pedro Munoz in his last fight via a pretty unanimous decision. I mean, man, he just put on Clink in that fight. He showed, his speed. He showed the mixing up of the strikes, the nasty ripping to the body, right, with the body shots. Not even leg kicks necessarily too much, but man, when he's able to put together combinations, you can't even see them coming, man. This dude's ripping to the body, ripping to the face, and he just kind of stands in your face, that movie tie, and just, you can't really do anything about it, man. He's just a faster fighter than you. And I think the biggest part in that fight, though, against Pedro Munoz, at least why Munoz wasn't able to get the victory, he was trying to go for the knockout, right? He was trying to swing these big punches. He wasn't being technical. He was letting Aldo pick him apart, and he really didn't have an answer for it besides trying to brawl with him, get in his face, and see if you can knock him out. And, against a guy who's able to read you, it's just not going to work out. And we saw Aldo just piecing him up. Aldo's very technical. You know, he's not necessarily an aggressive fighter. He can be an aggressive fighter, but I wouldn't say he's the one pressing forward. You know, backing you up against into the fence. Even when he kind of knows he could do these things, but he's so fast twitch. He's so twitchy, and he looks really good in the bantamweight division. So, and against Pedro Munoz, I mean, he was just ripping apart, piecing him up. He doesn't really go to the wrestling. I think he has obviously taken someone down, but it's been a long time. He's more of a defensive wrestler. 91% takedown defense. I personally don't think Rob Font's going to go for any takedowns, though. I think this is going to be a stand-up affair, a war on the feet. So yeah, I don't really expect Aldo to really, you know, maybe Aldo goes for some takedowns. That would be interesting to see. Maybe he tries to go for that. But I think overall Aldo is going to try to keep this fight standing. He's going to try to keep this fight technical, and he's going to try to pick apart Rob Font. Whereas Rob Font, you look at him, he's coming in off of a win over Cody Garbrandt. A pretty good win over Cody Garbrandt in the main event. One thing that really stood out to me, though, in that fight, and I guess stands out with me for Rob Font, is his good cardio. But even more so against someone like Cody Garbrandt, where, you know, Rob Font could have brawled with him. He could have gotten to those wild exchanges. But he was able to eat some shots, and he was also able to give shots. And he just was kind of, you know, the better fighter, the faster fighter that night. And he was able to get the victory. And he was definitely piecing out Cody Garbrandt. And he picked his shots really well. He definitely has this good thing of like jabbing in close and then landing some pretty good big hooks. So I can see him testing the chin of Aldo. I think he will be able to get to him. I think the biggest thing here, though, is if Font's able to be that aggressive fighter and not just like push Aldo against, you know, have him on his back foot, because we all know Aldo can fight on his back foot. But if Font can push him kind of like how Holloway did and kind of break him, that's what he really needs to do. He needs to light him up with combinations. He needs to stay in his face. He needs to hurt him. He needs to make Aldo go, oh shit, you know, I got to really do something with this guy. You can't just stand in front of Aldo and start swinging, you know, trying to knock him out. It's just not going to work, you know. You either got to knock him out how McGregor did, which, you know, pretty much only McGregor did something like that, or you got to destroy him. You got to break him down just like Max Holloway did. So hopefully Rob Font goes for that kind of strategy. If he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to overwhelm him. He doesn't get in his face. Don't just swing for wild punches for the knockout kill. You got to line him up all around. And he needs to do it early on. And you know, if Aldo's throwing leg kicks, Rob Font does stand kind of heavy, I believe, in his stance on that front leg. So that could be a concern if he's not checking leg kicks. The getting taken down thing, maybe Aldo goes for a takedown, but I personally don't think so. I think Aldo's going to try to light him up on the feet. Both guys, I would say, have good cardio. Not really worried about that. Font's shown, you know, he can hang with some of the best guys. I mean, Garbrandt's nasty, man. Garbrandt can land some big shots, and Font was able to stay alive in that fight. So that's very impressive to see. Patience, like I said, man. Rob Font's got to be patient. You can't get frustrated, man. You're fighting one of the best guys in the division, one of the veterans in the game, legends in the game. He's going to definitely try to light you up with the combinations. But I'd be wary of the leg kicks. Check the leg kicks. Bring the pressure forward. Don't just try to knock Aldo out. Try to break him down. And I think Rob Font's going to be able to do it. I think this will be one hell of a fight, though. And I think, you know, if Aldo wins, let's say he does win this fight, man, you know, we might be seeing him against in the bantamweight, you know, for the championship. Whoever wins this fight will get a shot at the championship. So we'll have to see on that one. But I'm gonna go Rob Font. I think he can press forward and do more than just what Munoz did and go for the knockout kill. I think he's gonna try to light him up, get in his face, test his chin, just be overwhelming. You know, block the leg kicks, make him pay, get in his face, and try to volume him. So we'll see. It's going to be one hell of a fight. Looking forward to it. But I'm going to go Rob Font to defeat Jose Aldo by a decision. So that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 44 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. And like I said, this is probably the most solid main card we've had on a fight night in a while. I think it's pretty decent main card. So I'm really looking forward to it. And we'll have to see if I'm able to pick better on this card. But either way, even if we don't, I hope we get some good fights. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming back each week. Hit the like button if you want to. Subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you guys in the next video.